We're live. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to check something. Hey, you guys. See this? Oh my God. I'm going to check and make sure everything's good on everything else, like YouTube and stuff. I just want to check because, let me see that. And I'm going to tell you something. We're live. Oh my gosh, we're live on YouTube, you guys. We're live on YouTube, you guys. I've waited 40 episodes to be live on YouTube, so. All right, you guys. So say hey as you come in. This is so exciting, everybody. I am streaming live from StreamYard to both Facebook and YouTube right now. I'm waiting to hear back from LinkedIn. Apparently, LinkedIn Live is in beta phase right now. So you have to fill out an application. So I filled out the application. But you know what? Fingers crossed, good vibes. I feel like we're gonna get LinkedIn too. So when that happens, y'all, we'll be live streaming through 3 platforms. So pretty excited about that. So yes, so like, comment, share, tell me where you guys are coming from. Say hey. For everybody on YouTube, I'm going to introduce myself real quick, Deborah, since I've never been on YouTube, and introduce myself appropriately. And then we're going to dive right into this. Also, just real quick for my Facebook people, if you could, anybody that comes on, please click share this out so we can continue building the momentum with this. If you catch this on the replay, put #replay so I can reach out to you and let me know if you get any gems from this. I feel like this one's going to be full of them. I'm excited because this is all about like relationships and stuff. So for YouTube people, for anybody catching this on the live, my name is Ashley Ingram. I am the CEO and founder of TUF Woman Coaching Company, LLC, and the host of this wonderful show that you are now partaking in called the TUF Woman Table, which is all about empowered women coming on and sharing their stories in the hopes of empowering other women to see that not only is their story valid and worthy, but it needs to be shared. Somebody needs to hear it, right? So, and yes, keep dropping the hearts. Everybody's coming. Oh, watch this. You guys watch this. This is my favorite. Angela, look, you're on a live. Angela's like, one day I'll be on a live, one day, but Angela's been with the show for a while. So actually since day 1. So Angela's 40 episodes in. So thank you guys. Yeah. Just so you guys know, as you comment, I'll be able to post these. So anyways, back to my little intro for YouTube. That's a little bit about me. I am all about empowering women into their full leadership potential. And good evening, Angela. I didn't respond to that. And really bringing you into your deepest self and bringing that out into the world, because all women have leadership potential, and you all have the capability to live a life that you love and that sets you on fire. So that's a little bit about me. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into this. Intro, and then I'm going to turn the tables to you, Miss Deborah. I'm so excited. So hello and welcome to the TUF Woman Table, episode 40.
Yay!
I still remember episode 1 like it was yesterday. I'm going to tell you, one day I'm going to talk about the funness of episode 1. So this is the table where I invite some super badass tough women like Deborah here to take a seat and join in on the conversation and share her amazing story. At TUF Woman, I believe that all women have the power within themselves to live an authentic life, free from fear, confident in who they are, empowered as hell to go after that life, and fully tapped into the leader that they were created to be. And I share this belief by championing tough women who have walked through the fire, felt the fear, faced adversity, and kept pushing through it all. Women who now live the life they want as the woman they were created to be. Women who own their stories so other women can embrace and own theirs as well. Because, as I said before, when you give yourself permission to own and share your story, you give someone else the same permission in the same breath. So, dun 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 dun. Oh, look at this. Hey, Kelly.
Oh, hey, Kelly.
She's watching. Look at that. So cool. She's watching from YouTube. So you guys, I'm geeking out. Just for anybody catching up, I'm live streaming from StreamYard, which is a new platform. So very excited. But anyways, Without further ado, I would love to introduce my guest for episode 40 and the inaugural episode on the platform, relationship and intimacy coach, Debra Barnes.
Hey, everybody. Hey. First of all, I want to thank you, Ashley. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it. I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited about helping women and married couples. That's my true passion. I've been doing this for years with friends and family. Goes back years and years ago when I was just into helping women at first, just thinking about women and the problems that we go through, and just having conversations with different people at work and having different conversations with people at home. And most of us have not seen a great relationship. I mean, we've all seen dysfunctional relationships. So I've just really been into building myself up and making sure that I am on point and making sure I'm doing all the things I need to do to be a good wife. And of course, I fall flat on my face sometimes, but I pick myself back up. But in this process, I found that people really confide in me, that people really want to have a conversation with me, and that I have been able to help so many people make them think differently than the way they think. And I really appreciated that. And I really realized that it's a God-given gift. I can't take any ownership for it. It's just that I just feel like God has given me this ability to help people. I've been helping people for a very long time because I helped raise my sisters and brothers, and I've been responsible forever, I feel like. And with that, it's given me that ability to understand people, to, be empathize with them, have compassion. And there's so many of us that are struggling in our marriage. We really are. And we are silent. A lot of us are silent and we don't say anything. And a lot of us confide in our friends, but they give advice instead of really looking at both sides. And my role as a coach is to look at both sides. My role as a coach is to be objective, to actually make sure there's a safe space for people to actually talk about their issues and bring up, anything that they want to talk about. There's no judgment zone. I don't judge. I don't take sides. I don't give advice. I listen. I ask a lot of questions. I try to understand where people are and what they want and what their objectives are as far as their marriage is concerned. And I focus on the outcome. What do you want? What does a great marriage or a good marriage look to you, for you? And we have this fantasy in our heads about the way marriage should be, instead of realizing that each marriage is different. It's two people coming together trying to figure out a relationship. So each relationship is totally different than the next person's relationship. So we need to think about that as well. And also, I teach my couples communication. And let me stress communication, because a lot of people think, well, I'm talking to you, but are you comprehending? Are you actually doing what's called active listening? Are you taking the time to listen and then paraphrase what you heard, and then, make sure that you understand, and then ask questions about what someone is saying? So communication is huge. That's where dysfunction comes into play. And disconnection, all of that comes into play when there's no communication, when there's lack of communication, when there's expectations not being discussed, when we have these habits and we're not willing to change our habits. So there's so many things to disconnection that we don't think about. And that's where I come in. I really try to help people see the disconnection where they are struggling, and how I can bring that disconnection together where each person is actually aware of their disconnection, instead of them saying, well, you did this or you did that. It's no reflection on themselves and how they can be better themselves. And that's one of the things that I did in my journey. I focused on me. I focused on how I could be better, how I could be a better wife, how I could be a better mother, how I could be a better sister, how I could be a better daughter. I constantly worked on that. I told you before how I really got into psychology and how I was so into what people are thinking, how people are feeling. And that really affected me because I spent a lot of time doing that and really thinking about how people click, what makes them click, what makes them feel the way they feel, what makes them do the things they do. And so in that process of me working on myself, I was able to help other people to think about it. And I like to say this too, because we're so stuck in our ways that we don't think differently. We don't. I had a perfect example is I had someone who couldn't understand what someone was like, their husband was upset and they couldn't comprehend why. And my question to them was, well, have you thought about it from their perspective? Instead of you focusing on the negativity, where's that negativity coming from? Why are they being negative? What have you said? What have you observed about them? And I can give you another example, and I'll even use myself as a really good example of how we can prevent disconnection. Um, my husband had to go to the doctor. He had surgery. He had to go to the doctor, and we were getting ready to go. Now, the night before, we had talked about him possibly driving. It would be like his first time driving after his surgery. And so I'm still having that in my head. Well, we decided to use the restroom first before we went to the doctor. Well, I ran to the restroom. Of course, I'm the one that takes forever, right? So I come downstairs, I come out to the garage, and he's standing there and he's waiting on me. So I'm like, aren't you driving? And he was like, no, I'm not driving. I'm like, oh, I thought it's your first time driving. I thought that you would drive. And he was like, no, I'm not driving. I was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, well, I could go get the key and I could drive. And I was like, no, that's okay. So he was like upset and he kind of raised his voice. And he very rarely raises his voice. So I'm like, okay, why is so much drama here? And I could have gotten upset, right? I could have been like, don't raise your voice at me. However, two things that I had to think about. I had to realize that first of all, he hates being late. Like 9 times out of 10, we're like a half an hour early before we get anywhere. I mean, we're like there half an hour early. I mean, and the other thing is he stresses when he has to go to the doctor, right? So all of this stuff is going in my head. And I'm like, okay, just get in the car. Let me get you to the doctor's. So of course, we're early, but the whole time I'm driving, I'm thinking, I can't believe he hollered at me. And then it was like, okay, hold up, slow your roll. He hollered at you because he's stressed. He's stressed, he's upset, he's anxious. And sometimes we have to think about that. Like, why is our spouse responding the way they're responding? And think about what is going on with them at the time that they're doing it, right? So I had to think about the fact that he hates being late and he gets stressed when he goes to the doctor. And he has white coat syndrome. His blood pressure is always high when he goes to the doctor, right? So I get there, everything's fine. We're early, of course. I get there. And the one thing that I realized is that I could have totally blown that out of proportion. I could have totally had an attitude, been upset, and all of a sudden we're disconnected. All because I didn't realize what was going on with him. But because, like I said, I'm constantly working on myself, I'm constantly paying attention to my reaction and understanding where he's coming from, I was able to realize that was a moment that I chose not to be disconnected from my husband. And that's something that we all can do. We can stop and think about they raised their voice or they're upset, they're mad or whatever, and just realize why what's going on with them, what is making them that way, and so we can prevent moments of disconnection when we do that. Another thing about disconnection is the fact that we have these expectations. We want our mate to do something for us, or we have these thoughts about woulda, shoulda, coulda. Like, why didn't he do that? Or why is he not asking me this or that? But my thing is, and I have to ask myself this because it happened to me too. Did I explain? Did I express? Did I talk about my expectations? So there's just so many things about disconnection that we can go through that could be prevented when we just stop, take a minute, and think about it. So as a coach, I really try to work on helping you to see these things, helping you to communicate, helping you to learn about expectations, helping you to think about passion. A lot of people be like, passion, what's that? But passion can really help build a relationship. And passion does not always mean sex. It could be, it's intimacy. Intimacy is all about hand holding, kissing, touching, cuddling, little notes on the refrigerator, a cute text, a card in the mail. And a lot of people don't even think about that, but it's really nice to mail a card to your spouse. And that is one of those situations where it's like, wow, that was really nice because you thought about me. And I did this weekly thing. I did a week on romance. And one of the things that I said, and I even outlined it, I said, yes, I know you have to go to the store. I know you have to read cards to pick out one that's really nice. I know you have to put it in the envelope, put a stamp on it, and take it to the post office, right? I know you got to go through all those changes, but think about the reward at the end when your spouse receives that card. So it's just all these little things that I really try to bring to my marriages, my couples, and really helping them to see different ways in which they can really do little things to make their marriage so much better. So you can see I'm really passionate about this. I'm really excited about it because I really do want to help couples. I really want to help women be better women and to really think about how they can help their marriages. Because sometimes men don't want to participate. But when you're doing your role, it makes them look at themselves and makes them realize, wow, she's putting all this effort into it. I need to be putting effort into it as well. So it goes both ways. But I'm just really excited about helping couples and really bringing them back to what has caused their disconnection in the first place. So that's basically.
Well, I feel like I love that first and foremost. So, but in the day and age right now, I think these divorce statistics is like over 60%.
Yeah, it's really high. It's really high. And that's the problem. The statistics are growing instead of going down because we have the mentality of, I don't have to stay married. I can get a divorce, but why would you go into a marriage thinking that in the first place? And why would you allow that to be an option instead of catching it early enough to work on your relationship so you wouldn't even have to get to that point? So yes, the statistics are very high when it comes to divorce. And I really am hoping that I can help prevent some of that by people taking the time to have a conversation. It's really as simple as having a conversation. I say this to people all the time. Let's just have a conversation. Let's just talk about it. Let's just think about what's really going on with you, what's bothering you, and how we can work towards resolving it. Whereas I feel like you are going to be resolving it because you're going to be thinking differently than the way you're already thinking.
So, a few things I want to bring up. First and foremost, hey to Danielle. Hey, she said hey while we were going, but I was like so in tune to that. So I put her comment up though. So second thing I want to talk about is you talked about perception and expectation. So there's a couple of ways I want to go with this, but the first one was I think this is something that we don't talk about, but I found this to be a really interesting perspective. And that's another thing is perspective, right? Because we are always things.
Everybody has, yeah.
But someone once put to me, or I read it somewhere, I can't remember right at this moment, but they said, wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if instead of keeping our expectations to ourselves when we went into relationships, we felt comfortable enough to go, hey, these are the things that I expect. So you talk about going back to that communication.
Yes.
And wouldn't it be nice if you sat down and like before you got married and you're like, okay, these are the expectations I have for it. And everybody got everything on the table. And someone said, well, that's kind of sounds like a business agreement. I said, well, your marriage it is kind of is a partnership. It's not necessarily
That's exactly right.
but it's a partnership. So I said,
Yes.
imagine you are going into a business partnership with somebody. What are you going to do beforehand? You're going to get your expectations out on the table. I said, otherwise, what happens? There comes that gap that you can't bridge because you guys didn't discuss it. And all of a sudden, one person thinks one thing and the other person thinks the other thing. So I think it's very important that you talk about the expectations because I come across so many women, bless us, and I have been there. I've been one of those women where it's like my boyfriend and or spouse, girlfriend, spouse, partner, this one girl I work with, let me give a real life example. She's like, when my boyfriend, when I want him to pay attention to me, I stare at him until he pays attention. I'm like, well, does he know you want attention? And she's like, well, he shouldn't he? Because I'm staring at him. I'm like, no, no, he should not. He should not. But it's something I talk about. Nobody's a mind reader. It don't matter how long you're with someone. And God bless men. Listen, God bless men. They're very, very right to the point.
Yes.
They don't, and I've said, I've been with people for a few months and I've been with people for years. And it's the same thing. Unless you tell them to their face, this is what I want.
Right.
What I expect. Nah. And it's not that they're inconsiderate. They're just very centrally focused. And granted, not all men are the same. I'm not saying this is all men, but most men are very one track minded. Like they want to get the thing and get it done and whatever else. So I always tell women, I said, men are not a mind reader. And if you're mad at him because you didn't explain yourself appropriately, you really need to be checking yourself. And
exactly.
That really goes for anybody you come across in life.
Yeah.
If you're going into life thinking that people are mind readers, especially people you've known for a long time, you're really being unfair to them. Because if you're not vocalizing the things you want clearly, then how can you expect to receive those things in return? So
right. I just want to add to that. Expectations also change. So it's a constant dialogue because what your expectations were in the beginning of your marriage or your relationship could change as time goes on. You evolve, right? You grow, you change, and whatever that might look like. So expectations change as well. So it's a continuous dialogue, it's a continuous conversation that you're having with your spouse because you're changing. And guess what? They're changing too. So it's a back and forth dialogue. And it's not, and people also get confused about the fact it doesn't have to be a formal conversation. It could just be an everyday conversation and something can come up and you can, start talking about, oh yeah, I was thinking about this and this was on my mind. So it's nothing formal that you have to do. It's just constantly being able to express how you're feeling and what you expect. And also part of the conversation that I like to talk to people about is their love language. Because people think that what they want from a relationship is the same thing that you want. Whereas their love language can be totally different than what yours is. So say for instance, you want to hug and kiss all the time. Well, that might not be their love language. And maybe you want gifts, but that might not be their love language. Maybe they want affirmation, maybe they want physical touch or they want quality time. My husband is very big on quality time. He loves quality time. He likes the human touch. So you have to understand what your mates, spouses, whatever, what their love language is, so that if you're aware of what their love language is, then you're going to feed them because you are responding to what their needs are, not just what your needs are. So we have to be cognizant of that as well.
And I like that you talk about that because not many people talk about the love languages. And that was a big game changer for me to even understand what those were, because I didn't even know my love languages until I read that. And I'm like, oh, like for me, it's like physical touch is the first one for me, and then it's acts of service. And Yeah, acts of service. And when people go, well, what is an act of service? Well, that's like doing things for me. So come
Right.
wash dishes for me. That's an act of that's a love
Yeah.
language to me. Like, so,
Yeah.
oh my God, man, dishes. But and I say that, and I agree. I want to kind of piggyback on that a little bit. That's so important because I've been with guys. Their love language is affirmations. And here's the thing:
Most men's are.
I'm not naturally one to go, oh hey babe, like it's not that I don't compliment, but when you have someone who's an affirmation type, they want to like they call it
Yeah.
petting the ego. They want
Yes.
their ego petted. They want to be told,
Yeah.
hey babe, you look so it's so important because I did get with someone after I learned the love languages and his was affirmations. And so I took
Hmm.
that extra time to like compliment him more and
Yeah.
just the dynamic that alone created was so much more pivotal than things I had experienced before. So it was really beginning to see how being conscious of those things outside of my own wants really
Hmm.
benefited everything overall. So how this is we're going to pivot a little bit. What
Okay.
got you started doing all this? Because that's always the fun thing is like what gets us going to get us here? Why did we start in this? So what got you started in wanting to help married couples? Like what was like, okay, this is because you talk about, okay, well, God put it on my heart. Because I know,
Hmm.
and this is something I talked about quite recently. Sometimes you just know, and it's like when God puts something on your heart,
Hmm.
just keep going no matter what happens. Like because you're
Right.
and I actually
Right.
have a friend who is been called to do something, and she might
Mhm.
catch this, and she's ignoring her call. She's like, life is just kind of hard, Ashley. And she's like, but I know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
so what got you started in this? Because this is always the fun part because
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've been doing this for years, and I was just sitting around a table with family and friends, and we were having a conversation, and we were sharing relationship issues, right? And so I started talking about, of course, me giving a different perspective versus what everybody else was doing, because sometimes we're so focused on ourselves, we don't think about the other person. And I'm all about the other person. I'm all about, well, why don't you understand how this might affect that person or why they might respond the way they responded? So anyway, I guess she felt like my advice was so good, or I always like to say suggestions and tips. Um, she was like, this is something you should do full time. This is something you should just get out there and you should just share and you should just really let the world know what you're doing because you're just so good at it. And I was like, I don't know if this is something I want to put myself out there to do. And she was like, you got to do it. You got to do it. So, you know what? I decided to do it. I said, okay, I understand that this is something I've been doing for a long time, and maybe it will help other people. And you know what? What gave me, talk about affirmation, what really gave me affirmation is a friend of mine that I had talked to when I was working. I used to talk to her all the time about her marriage, and she was struggling in her marriage. And I would always give her suggestions and tips about her marriage, right? She called me several months ago, and she she was like, you remember that conversation I had with my husband? And he said this, and this. And I'm looking at her like, that was like 15 years ago. And she was like, I know it's been a while, but I just want to make sure that you remembered. And she gave me a little, I said, you got to give me a little background. She gave me a little background. And I was like, yes, I remember that. And because what he said was really mean. It was really mean. So I remember that conversation, and she was like, you have helped me so much. And I just really wanted to make sure I wasn't going crazy. I know I had talked to you about it, and I just wanted to know your thoughts about it. And that just kind of affirmed everything for me, because 15 years, and she remembered that I helped her through that process with her husband. However, I also had to let her know that she was stuck. Like, if for you to really put that much energy in something that your husband said 15 years ago,
Mhm.
you're stuck. So I had to talk her through that to let her see that that is preventing her from moving forward in her relationship because she's still focused on what was said 15 years ago. But that just really made me realize that I am helping people. I am really helping people, and I am helping them see where they can look at things differently versus what we're normally thinking about, and how we're processing, because every person processes differently, and I'm able to help you process in a different way because I'm questioning you about your thoughts. I'm questioning you about your perspective, and what made you come to that conclusion. So I'm asking a lot of questions for you to think and to understand differently. So that, between a friend of mine saying this is something you really should do because you can help so many people, and then to get that phone call realizing that I've really been helping people for a very long time, and I really love it. I love helping people, and I love the fact that I really do, and I had to come to the conclusion, I really do have something to say. I really do have something to offer. So that is what drives me. That is what is keeping me going and keeping me helping people to realize that I really do have something to offer, and I'm happy to offer it. And I look forward every time I get the opportunity to offer it. So
Mm. And before I go forward, I want to take a step back and talk a little bit about what you said about people that not engaging the active listening. And this is something I talk about so often. So often I come across women and they're like, well, he said da 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 da. It's like,
mhm.
and they are reluctant to put their part in it. It's like, okay,
Right.
well, because so often we what is it? We listen not to hear, but to respond, right? So
Yes.
we're sitting there, and 5 seconds into it, we've already started going, okay, I'm going to say this and this and this. And
Yeah.
what we don't do is we don't stop and think, well, why are they saying this?
That's the point. That's the point.
And the other thing is, and this is something that was huge for me, is why are you triggered by it?
Right.
Why are you upset?
Yeah.
Because if it's not something that's going on inside of you, you would be able to detach and go, okay, well, you know what? That doesn't have anything to do with me. That's not negating what's happening. But listen, I don't have anything going with that. But let's understand why they're feeling the way they're feeling.
Right. Right. That's hard, but that's hard for people. That's hard to remove yourself and actually put yourself in their place. And one of the two things that I talk about a lot too is humility. We're so busy wanting to be right that we don't think about humbling ourselves and actually putting ourselves in someone else's shoes, literally listening to them and trying to understand. Like I was saying to you about my husband, I had to think about why he responded the way he did. And when you do that, you're preventing yourself from an argument. You're preventing yourself from being selfish and only looking at yourself. So that's a practice. I say that a lot. It's a practice. You have to practice that. You have to want to be willing to do that. And the other thing is you have to understand that you can only change yourself. You can't change somebody else. And that's huge too, because we're so busy listening to somebody and waiting for them to finish so you can jump in and you can say what you think they should have said or they should have done, or we go through that as well. So it's just so many little things that I think that if we just stop and think about the other person, then we are giving them the opportunity to be themselves. And we offer also, um a lot of times when somebody's doing something, it's actually a reflection of us. It's actually what we're thinking, what we're feeling, but we're pushing it on them instead of really going deep into ourselves.
Mm. That was
Yeah.
funny you said that, because I would say so oftentimes we get caught up projecting our own stuff onto other people. And this
All
one,
the time. All the time.
not even just in sometimes, like for me, the way this showed up before I really started taking that dive myself into becoming more aware of my own stuff was so often I would be so affronted by something my now ex-husband, oh, it's funny we're talking about my now ex-husband, would do. And instead of coming to him being like, listen, this really upset me, or going, hey, why do I feel upset by this? I would internalize it and I would sit there and I would stew and I would stew and I would stew. And next thing you know, we get to the end and it's just this blow up. And now I'm
Yeah.
screaming and I'm mad. And he's like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're and, you know, you get to the end of it and I go, I don't even know what I'm mad about either. I was really mad when I got here. And then you go again, and like you said, that disconnect happens, and next thing you know, we're laying back to back in the bed.
Yes. 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 When you can prevent it, you can prevent it, first of all, by voicing how you're feeling. You have to voice how you're feeling, but you also can do it in a respectful way. I tell people to voice how you feel, but do it in a respectful way. We're talking about two adults, not just you. Both people are adults. So we have to treat each other like we're adults, not that you're my child or I'm your child. No, we're two adults. And also we're trying to blend our whatever we grew up with. We're trying to blend these two personalities together. And sometimes it's a process doing that as well, because I could have grown up totally different than what the way actually I did. I grew up totally different than the way my husband grew up. And so you blend that together, and it's a process of trying to figure out, well, what is your trigger? Like, why, just like you were saying, like, why are you upset over something I said? Well, that could be based on how you grew up and what maybe how your father treated you or your mother treated you or your sibling treated you. And because I said something that upset you, it triggered back to what somebody else has said to you years ago. It could be your ex-wife, your ex-husband, but that's a trigger for you. So we have to be respectful, and I really stress that as well. We can have a conversation, but we can be respectful in our conversation. So we have to be careful not treating each other like you're my child or I'm your child, because we do that too. We have a tendency to do that.
I was just about to say, because sometimes I hear a lot of women go, God, I just feel like I have another child. And I'm like,
Yes.
Have you ever thought that maybe you treat them like a child?
Yes. Yes.
How often, and I want to ask this to the women, how often do we find ourselves just going, and this was they call it, I just read about it because I'm reading this book called Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. And it's called maternal gatekeeping, because she's talking about what women do as mothers. And they're like, just get out of my way. I'll do it. You're not going to do it right. So what often happens is when we do this, especially to our spouses, and we do it long enough, they'll stop doing the things that we actually want to do. And the next thing we know, we're going, why don't they help us more? Why aren't we active with the children? Well, how are you responding to this person?
Right.
How are you choosing to interact with them?
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're treating them like a child, guess what they're going to be like? Like you're their mother.
Right.
Of course there's going to be.
I agree. We do that. We do that. Actually, I realized that I had done that years ago. I have issues with control, and I know that about myself. I do. I have issues with control because when I was younger, I had no control. And so when I became an adult, I'm like, I'm going to handle stuff. I'm going to do it my way. It's going to be done, And I had to realize I'm taking over. I'm thinking it's my way, not have a conversation and we're deciding together. I'm like, no, this is the way it's going to be. This is what we're going to do. I had to check myself, and I did this for a period of time before I recognized that I am making this man feel less than because I'm taking over, instead of saying, babe, we need to talk about this. We need to have this conversation. This is what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? How can we come to a conclusion on this? And sometimes, like I tell my husband all the time, it's okay to agree to disagree as well. But we have to be careful, and especially women, because we are mothers. A lot of us are mothers, and we do have that tendency of, we're so busy raising our kids that we can turn that on to our husbands and not even realize we're doing it. But I had to check myself, and I realized that I was controlling situations that I shouldn't be controlling, that I really had to relinquish things, or just like you were saying, I question why he's not stepping up when I didn't already stood up, you know. So we have to be careful with that. We really do.
Yeah, and other thing I think that is super important, and I almost brain farted for a second here. Oh Lord, yep, there it went. Oh my gosh, don't brain fart, you guys. But the other thing that we have to also do as women, and this is something when I talk about leadership potential, this is the like one of the big key issues here. Okay, so I'm gonna get real woo woo for a second. So when we are talking about the dynamic of how the universe works, how we work, so there is a masculine and a feminine. And this shows up internally, and then this shows up in our relationships. And Deborah, I'm sure you understand this. There's a masculine and there's a feminine. We all have this energy. So the feminine is responsible for creation and the asking aspect, right? Well, the feminine is the asking. The masculine is the doing. And this was a huge thing for me because I was super independent and I didn't want to ask for stuff and I'm going to tell you where it came from. When I was with my daughter's father, well, there's further dynamics to it, but I'm not going to go that far back. But when I was with my daughter's father, I remember distinctly one time, and it's so ingrained, the memory of this. I remember distinctly one time we were separating and he goes, or no, it was before we separated. And I'll tell after you hear, you'll be like, well, I can kind of see why maybe that happened. So he went, you would have nothing without me. He said, you're going to be nothing without me. And I said, all right. And after that, I was like, I'm not going to ask a man for nothing. I'm not
Yeah,
asking him for
we
nothing.
do that.
But here's the thing. Men love to be asked. Like, listen, ladies, if you ask men to go do something, they are more than happy to go, yes. Because how many times do you guys hear men go, I wish she would just tell me what she wants?
Yeah.
Like, I swear the running joke is women never know where they want to go eat. And I'll tell you why. It's not that we don't know where we want to go eat. It's that we want to go eat at 5 places at one time. Okay. We want,
True.
I think I saw somewhere. It's like, I want waffle fries from Chick-fil-A, a drink from Sonic because I want the ice, and it's like 5 different things. So we want 5 things at one time. So but ladies, we have to learn to ask, and it's the same thing in business and everything. We have to learn to ask for the things that we want. Again, men are not mind readers. Nobody's a mind reader in this world.
Nobody.
I mean, I guess there might be. I can't say that there's nobody, but in general, most people can't read your mind. Most people don't know you. I've seen people who have been together for 30 years, and this is something that was key for me too. You should always be learning something new about your spouse.
Yeah.
If you come to it 5-10 years in and you're like, there's nothing more to learn, that is not a good sign. Like that was
at all.
A year after our relationship, my ex-husband like stopped. Like he didn't try to learn nothing else, and I was just like, and it was such a stagnation. It was such a stagnation. It was such a death to it. So I always tell people, like, especially when you have to learn to ask, you have to vocalize what it is that you want.
True. You do. You have to. And that's part of the expectation process as well, because you don't know, people don't know what you want, and what you wanted today, you might not want tomorrow. That goes back to your expectations changing. And you have to realize that we continue to grow. We just do. We continue to grow. But men love it when you need them. Men want to be needed. And they want you to tell them that they're needed. They want to know that they're respected, and that you trust them and you love them and you adore them. They want to know all of that, And so it's up to us to provide that for them, because when men get that, they give it back. They really give it back, because they're feeling, as I say, you want to feel comfortable and safe. And women, that's really huge for women to feel safe. We want to feel safe. We want to feel comfortable. We want to know that if we share something with you or we're experiencing something, that you're going to be there for us, that you're going to take care of us, and you're going to love us no matter what, no matter how ugly stuff looks, we're safe with you. So that's what women really need. Really need to feel safe, but men really need that you're awesome. I love and respect you. I need you. That's what men, I mean, men thrive on that. They really do. And for some reason, sometimes with women don't get that because, like me, I want to be in control. Except I'm not like that anymore. I've worked on that. I'm much better than I was. But I also believe in affirmations. I'm huge on affirmations. And I think everybody needs affirmations, but I think that men need it more than women sometimes because we want to be loved. We want to be cuddled. We want gifts, different things like that. We want that human touch. But men are really huge about the affirmations and really needing to know that they're respected and that they're important.
Mm.
Yeah.
I have to say, I love this conversation. It's been I think it's been the first conversation where we've really brought in that masculine aspect.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important because in this day of, I don't want to say, no, I'm not going to call it that. So, just in this day of extreme feminism is what I'll label as it.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to be like, I want to do it all and da da da. But what happens, ladies, is we often isolate ourselves from the very thing that we actually do want. And being able to be dependent upon someone else does not negate your own independence.
Not at all.
You can't be a strong woman. In fact, I think it takes a very strong woman to allow herself to depend on another man, especially from an emotional standpoint. And I don't do that, again, to negate anybody. And I'm not saying that, oh, well, you're not a strong woman if you don't do this. It's never any of that. But the thing that I learned that was key for me was being able to ask and allowing myself to receive.
Right.
Different areas of my life, because so many women go, well, I wish they would do this and I wish they would do that. But then you look at their action and you look at their tonality and their language. It's like, well, you're not really receptive.
Right. Right.
And it's like,
it goes back to that humility again. It goes back to humility. It's like allowing yourself to ask for what you want, allowing yourself to be kind and to be loving, without feeling like you don't need anything. And I hear this a lot, which is very surprising. But I don't, just like you were saying, I don't need a man. A man can't do nothing for me. But yet we sit at home and we wish we had a man. But when you're projecting that, when you're projecting that, that's what you're getting back. Then men feel that, and men are like, okay, you don't need me. So what am I here for?
I'm really glad you said that because I just did a post about that the other day. It's like, listen, if your language, even if you are not aware of it, and you should become aware of this, your language, if your language is all men ain't shit, there's no good men, all men cheat on me, then you are putting out into the universe that kind of energy, that kind of vibration, and guess what you're going to get? And it's not that they're shitty men, and it's not that they're shitty women for men who say this. So I'm not calling them shitty. It's that we all have our own traumas and our own levels of healing that we've gone through or haven't. So when you're saying that all men ain't shit, what you're attracting is men who match up to that vibrational frequency.
Exactly.
And I knew I had an old roommate, and she goes, "Why are men such douchebags? All I meet are douchebags." And I said, have you realized that by saying that, that's kind of what you're going to get? She's like, that has nothing to do with it. I'm like, oh.
Yes, it does.
Let me ask you a question. I said, how long have you been saying that? She said, most of my life. I said, all right, well, when was the last time you had a really good relationship? She said, I haven't.
Because she's putting it out in the universe. She's like, I find that this is how I feel, and because that's what I'm receiving. I'm receiving men who aren't treating me well. But it also goes back to what are you allowing? What are you allowing? Because we allow men to treat us a certain way. We allow people to treat us a certain way. If we're allowing this, then that's what's going to happen. But when we have standards and we're choosing to live up to our standards, then we're going to attract those men and women who are going to meet our standards, and we're not going to tolerate the crap. We're going to be like, no, you should meet my daughter. She is truly drama free. I mean, she's like, no, you're causing me stress. So why are you here? She's all about being drama free, and she has what she wants, and she expects certain things. And if she can't get it, then she's like, we're both wasting our time, but she's not putting out there in the atmosphere that men are dogs or anything. She's not doing that. She just knows what she wants. And sometimes we have to have those standards so that we can attract the men that we want based on our standards, as long as our standards aren't extremely high, because some women's standards are too high. He has to be so tall, and it's like his hair has to be a certain way. Just takes it too far.
And to piggyback on that, so it is important to have standards, but it is also important to ask yourself, am I meeting my own standards of how
Thank you. Exactly.
You can have the standards all day long, but if you're not, again, at that frequency, if you yourself are not embodying your own standards,
right,
there's going to be that disconnect, and you're not going to find yourself attracting the men that you want. You are always only going to attract things at the level you yourself are at. And someone said to me one time, they're like, why don't you get triggered by people? And I said, well, it's because I have this full consciousness that everybody is always only meeting me at their own level of awareness. And I can't control that, but I can't control how I react. So if I do meet someone and they do trigger me, my first thought is, okay, well, why is this person upsetting me?
Right.
Why is this person? I always tell people, this is the best question you can ever ask yourself in regards to everything. Why?
Yes, why? I totally agree.
Why do I feel this way? Why do they upset me? So back to like what you said, it's that awareness and doing that self-work, because what you do in here is going to directly reflect everything outside of you.
Right. Totally agree. Totally agree. We really have to, like I said, we can only change ourselves. And I can't say that enough. We can only change ourselves, no matter how much we want our partner to be different, to be better, whatever. We only have control over ourselves, no one else. So it's up to us on how we're going to respond, how we're going to react, what our thoughts are about what our spouse or our mate is doing. It's how we're processing that, how we're thinking through it. And I'm constantly doing that. I have really trained myself to do that. Like I'm looking at people, I'm observing how they're responding to things, and I'm asking myself, why am I responding the way I'm responding? Or how would I respond if somebody did that to me? So I'm constantly working on myself. And like I said, this has been for years. This is what I've done. And I feel like I'm in a really good place, because I've been working. What does Ayanna say? I did the work. I did the work. So I'm more aware of how I'm responding to things. I'm more aware of my feelings and my thoughts, because I'm constantly saying, well, why are you feeling that way? Or what happened? And okay, my thing is, do I have control over this? Because if I don't have control, I just let stuff go. It's what I have control over that I deal with. But if I don't have control over it, I don't worry about it. My mother struggles with that, because she's always worried about her kids, and we live in different states. And so I asked her, I was like, she was telling me she was worried about me. And I was like, well, why? She said, well, what if something happens to you? And I said, what are you going to be able to do about it? Really, what are you going to be able to do about it? You have no control over what's going to happen to me. So it's wasted energy to stress over what's going to happen to me. You have no control. So I don't worry about my kids. I can't. I pray for my kids. I'm hoping that they're safe. I'm hoping that they're okay. But if something happens, there's nothing I can do about it. I have no control over something. They're in two different states. What am I going to do? So it's recognizing you don't have control, and that's the hard thing. We feel like we got control over everything. Honestly, we have control over nothing. It's how we choose to deal with situations that help us, but we really don't have control over anything.
Oh man, and I love that you say that, and also we're getting to the end, which is oh my gosh, we're already but
Oh no, this is great. Thank you.
when I was going to piggyback on what you just said, so when we are sitting there worrying about a situation, I want to talk again about energetic frequencies. When we are sitting there worrying about things that we can't control, we are putting out that worried energy into the universe. And actually, you guys, you can manifest situations into your life and into other people's life by worrying about them.
Mm-hmm.
Things that would not have been there, but you don't put it there because you put the energy into it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
this is something I had to say the other day to my friend. I said, you have to be conscious about what you think. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
conscious about what you say, because
Mm-hmm.
the power of the things that come out of you, whether that's mentally or physically, verbally, have power. What
True.
intention you put behind them is
Mm-hmm.
what is going to come from it. So
Mm-hmm.
super, super important for you guys to be aware of that, which is why it's important to be aware in general. So since
True.
we're coming at the end, 3 pieces of advice you would give for any woman who is going through this journey of working through her own marriage, since that's the kind of thing, or if she's wanting to get in a relationship, and even looking at it kind of from a business standpoint, if she's going into relationships with partners and business partners and things like that, what are 3 pieces of advice you would give to someone if you were to turn around and go, hey, this is like the 3 key things I can tell you going through this?
Well, and the things that we previously talked about, expectations, and that's when you're talking about your mate, or when you're talking about a business partner. When we go get a job, what do? We talk about expectations. So expectations is number one, because if you're having the dialogue, then both parties know how you're feeling, what your thoughts are, what your expectations are. So expectations is huge. And then the other one is like we were saying, control. What do you have control over? You can only control yourself. I don't care what type of situation you're in, you can only control yourself. And the other thing that I would say is humility. That's a hard one for a lot of people. But being humble, being compassionate and understanding, no matter what situation you're in, instead of jumping to they offended me, or why would you say that to me? But humility is huge for me, because that helps us stop and think about the other person. So those are really 3 of the biggest things that I would say. Love yourself, number one. Is I think love yourself is really big too. So love yourself first. That's number one. Love yourself first. Because if you love yourself, then you will know what you will accept and what you won't accept. So love yourself first.
I agree with all. I have nothing to add to that. They were
Yeah.
all right. So this is my favorite part of the show. So, and for YouTube, for anybody who's on YouTube, I will go ahead and make sure to post links afterwards. So this is the part of the show where you get to tell everybody about what it is that you offer. Where can they find you if they want to work with you? By all means, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I do one-on-ones. That's one of the things that I do. I work with couples and I work with women and help them go through their process. I also have a online course that I'm offering this month. Dirt cheap, $49. It's a 5-week course, and each week you have a strategy. So it's the name of it is How to Nurture Your Love, and it's 5 strategies that's going to help you improve in your marriage. And it's like I said, it's a 5-week course, and each week I give you strategies, and in those strategies I expect you, I'm hoping and praying that you will do this, is actually work with your partner to discuss what you learned and then apply it. And then the following week, you'll get another strategy. So I'm really hoping that that you would take the time. And just let me say this right quick. This is the year that everybody is talking about gifts. And we're always trying to think of what to give each other, right? Well, why don't we as couples give ourselves the opportunity to learn more about each other, to spend more time with each other, to take this course that is going to take you into 2020 to make you a better couple. But not only that, it makes you a better family, because sometimes when we're in a relationship, we forget about our kids. We forget about how our relationship is affecting our kids. So this course that I'm offering, because I know that I can't reach everyone, and some people might not want to do a one-on-one, but you could take this course and you could take it at your own pace, even though it's 5 weeks, and then within 5 weeks you're going to have different strategies, but it's available to you for as long as you want it to be. But do something good for yourself. Get this course that will help you help you in your marriage to make it better. And everybody's marriage is not bad, but you actually can tweak what you already have. So I'm offering one-on-ones. I'm offering my online course, which I said is $49, really cheap. It's going to go up in January. And I also have a premium package that I offer, and it's a 8-week session that you would have with me, that we go deep into what's going on with you, how I can help you, how I can be, like I said, I'm objective. So I will walk you through your process. I will ask you so many questions to help you see where you are, where you're struggling, and what is causing the disconnection, which is first. And then we'll talk about, like in my course, we'll talk about disconnection. We'll talk about communication. We'll talk about expectations. We'll talk about how to get your passion back. We'll talk about sex, which is everybody wants to have great sex, right? So that's my course, but I also take you in deeper into that in my premium package that I have to offer. So you can also reach me on Instagram at Nurture Your Love. And I'm also on Facebook as Amby Hamilton, the intimacy coach. And of course, you were saying you're going to put this information in so that they'll have it as well, right?
Yeah. So what I will have you do is just hand it to me after we get off here through Messenger.
Okay.
And then that way I'll drop it in the links. And for anybody on Facebook, those will be posted in the comments as well under this live. That's what I like to do, is have the guests go back on the live on Facebook and go ahead and pop their stuff into the comments. And then because now we're going on YouTube, I'll handle the YouTube aspect of it. So what I'll do is go back and edit the broadcast, like the descriptor on it, and go ahead and add your stuff into the notes.
Okay.
So
I just want to say thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to everybody. I'm just so excited about it. And I really hope that people got something out of it and realize that they're so important. And to build your marriage is really, really important, because the whole point of getting married is because you expect to stay married. So why not have a great marriage while you're married?
And just before we get off here, one thing that you said in the beginning that was really important is there are too many people going into marriage now with the well, if this doesn't work, I can just get a divorce.
Yep.
If your thought process, and this was something that I had a pastor teach me, if your thought process before you even get into your marriage is that, well, if this doesn't work out, then you don't have faith in your own marriage. And if that you have that thought that, well, if this doesn't work out, we can get divorced, you need to evaluate. You don't need to get married yet until you have evaluated why you think that there should be such an easy out. Like, yes, I understand there are bad marriages where the spouse is abusive. I get that. I'm not telling you to stay in a bad marriage.
Right.
It's legitimately bad. I'm not telling you to stay there. But what I'm telling you is, if you're looking to get married or you're in your marriage and the thought is like, well, if he does this, we can just get a divorce.
Right.
You need to evaluate some things.
Exactly. And stop it before it's too late anyway. That's what I say too. Stop it before it's too late. Seek help before it's too late. I did. My husband and I, we went to counseling we learned tools and how to deal with the situations that we were going through in our marriage. So I'm not asking you to do something that I haven't already done, because I have. So catch it before it's too late. Don't wait until it's at the end and you worry about divorcing, or should you divorce or should you stay. No, stop it ahead of time. And my course is the perfect course for that, because it really makes you think about different things that you might not have thought about. It makes you think about ways in which you can improve your marriage. So I'm telling you, that little $49 can make a huge difference in your marriage.
Amen. Counseling costs you a whole lot more.
Yes, it does.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so happy we could do this. This makes me so excited. And for anybody who's on YouTube, make sure you thumb this up, like this. For anybody on Facebook, again, if you guys catch us on the replay, #replay, I always want to know what nuggets and stuff you guys get from this. So for anybody cross messages, anybody on Facebook, like my page on YouTube so I can keep building this and we can keep pushing the show out there. We can get more of a broader spectrum of people coming in and watching it. And as always, thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you to everybody who comes on and watches this. I'm blown away that we're at episode 40. I mean, 10 episodes away from 50. But the reality is, without you guys, I wouldn't be at episode 40. So it's always, again, back to the humility thing that you talked about. It's incredibly humbling when you guys come on, because really, I mean, this is why I believe so heavily in collaboration. Everybody talks about getting to the top, but what we don't talk about is all the people you need to get you there. You know,
right?
You need people to get you to the top. You cannot do it by yourself. So, I'm huge about collaborating with people, because that's the power. The power is in the people. You know, when we're together, that's when we're powerful. It's like Helen Keller. It's like I can't even say the quote right, but it's like it's basically like individually we are okay, but together we are like super powerful. So I'm always so grateful for everybody that comes onto the show, because for everything that I'm told that I give to them, I receive like 10 times more from you guys. So awesome. So, all right. So we're going to end this. For everybody, always every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on YouTube and Facebook. And we're going to be going into LinkedIn. I'm telling you, I'm going to get that application approved, you guys. And we're going to be LinkedIn live, right? Which is going to be awesome. So every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, make sure you are following me on whatever platform you choose to, so that you can be here for these. All right. And also, I have a link in the bio for any woman. Deborah's in the group as well. I like to put this out there. So for any woman that feels called to up level this year into her most badass self, I am a co-founder of a wonderful mastermind group called the Badass Women's Mastermind. We host free live masterminds for any woman that just wants to come in and get a little bit of help. Literally just downloaded, I think, 30 different pieces of resources. So
a lot.
Just a side note, a little while back in my vision, you talk about having that overall vision. My vision was to give women a resource hub, a web-based resource hub where they could come and get access to all the resources they would need to create a life that they loved and build a business. And it would be the best of the best resources. And I would have experts in the group. And it's funny because guess what? Here it is. I was like putting the resources in last night. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, like God gave me that vision a year and a half ago. I said, I don't know how this is going to happen, but okay, we're going to do this. And here it begins. So you guys, back to the expectations and the standards. Have standards for what you want in life. And when God calls you to it, man, just keep going. So, all right. So if you want to join that mastermind, the link is in the descriptor on both YouTube and Facebook. Click the link, ladies, join us. It is a phenomenal group. Like, I can't even, some days I just look at it, I'm just like, I can't even believe this is real. But I'm hosting a vision boarding workshop next week. I'm so excited. I'm going to be well more prepared for the mind mapping. But anyway, you guys, thank you guys so much. As always, I will see you guys next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Thank you guys for everybody that hung in the extra 10 minutes, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you.